Starship coming into Tuxedo Junction tonight. Mike, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. It's N95's Mike Rappaport. And to give you a little bit of intro about the Jefferson Airplane, a band that started in the mid-'60s out of San Francisco, part of the San Francisco Sound, along with the Grateful Dead and Janis Joplin, taking us to today, the Jefferson Starship, the next generation. Paul Kantner, Jack Cassidy, Papa John Creech. Happy birthday, Papa John. All joining us in the studio today. 25 years plus of recording from the inception of the Jefferson Airplane to Jefferson Starship, the next generation. A lot of material to cover.
They're 1/3 of Papa John's life. I started out as Jefferson Airplane, went to Jefferson Starship in Altoona, and then there was some hoo-ha in 1980, whatever, went to Starship, and that broke up, and one comedian said it went just. And so I decided to bring it back and sort of re-glorify the pursuit of space, time, and rock and roll.
Well, could you fill us in on the rest of the band that plays with you tonight at Tuxedo Junction?
Well, Papa John here, John Cassidy, Prairie Prince from the Tubes, Tim Gorman and Slick Aguilar from KBC Band, and Darby Gold, extraordinary young female singer that my daughter introduced me to, oddly enough.
And Darby, through a lot of the reviews I've read, through no fault of her own, is obviously going to be compared to Grace.
Well, she's singing our songs, so
yeah.
She has that power and strength that Grace has, but she stands on her own as well, as far as I'm concerned, anyway.
Well, you're into the second leg of your tour, which started at the BAMIs, the Bay Area Music Awards, back in February of this year. Now, everyone in the band, yourself, Jack, Papa John, you've all been involved in different projects. Even today,
yes,
there's still bands waiting back home, wherever, with the rest of the band.
This is true. We're busy folk.
How is it that you were able to get this band together and get them out on the road with all these different other projects taking time away from us?
I'll leave that to Jack.
Yes, scheduling is interesting, and it requires communication. And once we do that, we can schedule the tours. Hot Tuna is going to Europe in July, and so this band will work on material and projects and writing in preparation for we hope to do some basic tracks before the end of the year. So that what it means is that some of us are sort of perpetually on the road, which is interesting in itself. And Papa John, he's got his own career. You can take the format here, Papa John.
I just recorded a blues album called Papa Blue, and that's been keeping me kind of busy, but trying to get the musical parts and the vocal parts and things together, and then along with Paul here and getting ideas together, and it's just one of those type of things that it's kind of worked out. I think it's real great.
Yeah, we've got in Los Angeles named Michael Gaiman, who's having a nervous breakdown keeping it all together, but that's his job, and that's what they're good at in LA.
Now, it's being called the Blows Against the Empire Tour from the 1970 album, Paul, that you wrote, that debuted the name Jefferson Starship.
Well, it has elements of re-hijacking my Starship back, and that was one of the seminal starts of the whole science fiction thrust that I'm so fond of. And we do Blows Against the Empire in its extreme form, as many nights as we can get away with.
You know, it was brought to my attention that same thing from some fans about the history of the Jefferson Starship. But when you think about it, there was Paul's pet project from 1972 when we all when the airplane broke up, we all walked back in the next day to play on his album along with half the other musicians of San Francisco. So it has been Paul's project, and his sort of one of his pet visions of starships and rocket ships and all. I think all of us have that sort of hobby from our youth anyway.
It actually started back in the second grade when I was being disciplined in Catholic military school, and left me in the library. And on the lowest shelf in the Catholic library was all the science fiction books. So I started leafing through them when I was second grade.
And who would have known that in second grade that would have led to the Jefferson Airplane and then the Jefferson Starship later on in your career?
God bless Sister Mary, whatever her name was.
back in second grade.
Well, science fiction is a good opener, I found, for people. It opens their minds or their abilities to perceive things up to wider spectrums, and lets them consider things they might not have otherwise considered. It did in my case. So I'm more than happy to push that on other people's consciousnesses.
One of the people who must have been a huge influence on the band from really beginning, well, up until last year before his unfortunate passing, was Bill Graham, legendary promoter. Paul, you spoke at his funeral, gave one of the eulogies. Can you tell us a little bit about what Bill Graham has meant to the career of Jefferson Airplane up through Jefferson Starship?
Well, he was our manager for a while, and then we all went on to our various directions, and continue to be good friends, and we're engaged in a lot of various projects and benefits and earthquake benefits, and we were just getting together a school project before he died, and we were also getting together a big science fiction stage production of the actual Blows Against the Empire, the original record, with Garcia and Grace and Jack, and we're going to involve Yorma now, and we're still working on it, but sort of put it back a couple months when he went down.
Is that still going to be happening? Or?
Yeah, we're working on it right now.
Okay,
somewhere, hopefully in October, November.
How did you decide what gets into the set list and what doesn't? There must have been a lot of tough calls, because there are a lot of musicians who don't even want to touch their back catalog, and yet the Jefferson Starship, the next generation, brings in a celebration.
There's a lot of good musicians who have good cause not to want to touch their back catalog. On the other hand, I'm pretty proud of most of not all of our stuff survives with time. Some of it is almost like topical folk music. But the science fiction element, until we get out into space, will always survive on a certain element. A lot of the political stuff and even the love songs that are intertwined work well as today. I mean, people don't fall out of love just because 20 years have gone by, you know what I mean? It's an ongoing concern. Space doesn't go away. Certainly George Bush doesn't go away. And it's like, you know, there's always something.
We see how it works out with the musicians involved too. In this particular lineup, Prairie Prince is a godsend in the rhythm department. And we can lend, we run songs by in front of the various people in the band, and some of them just take off and you say, hey, that's fun, and that works really well.
And some of them don't.
And some of them just, you know, they don't. And at the same time, we encourage everybody to bring new material in. And Darby has a new Gothic song that, from Freeport Convention, I believe it was.
Fairport.
And it's called Fairport Convention in Genesis Hall. And that led to good, different kind of feeling that we would have ever gotten ourselves, you know.